Let's give a warm round of welcome to Team Holmes. And I know you talked about them at different points, but what would be the 3 business growth blockers? Like, how should founders look at their business, or what should they absolutely not do in order for their business to grow?
Look, the big one is make a decision about craft versus enterprise, because you're going to really, really struggle if you go off in the craft direction, because you have to unwind it to go the other way, because people you've employed are the wrong people. You haven't built the structure in such a way that people are responsible for what they should be. So it's really difficult to unwind it. And we come up with a lot of companies who've been going down that craft route for 20, 30 years. Now they want to sell the business. And they're told, no, you need to fix this. Take the next 3 to 5 years to fix it. So make that decision. Get over yourself. Make a decision. If this business is not all about me, this is where I'm going to go. If it is, then go that way. And then just understand how business is formed. Because again, if you don't understand how I should be reporting to a shareholder, what a shareholder wants, what a director's supposed to be doing, then as soon as it gets bigger, you start falling over. And you get shareholder arguments all the time because they think, no, but my salary and I need involvement in the strategy. No, you're a shareholder. You don't have involvement in strategy. You set a direction and a purpose, but you can't get involved in operations because it's confusing for the organization. Who is my boss? Who do I report to? Who's setting the direction? Who's telling me where we're going to go? So it's go which direction, understand just the basics about how a business is built so you don't do anything daft, and then make sure that you just follow a plan and get some help. Read a book. There's plenty of books out there. Read a book, do a course, and as you get more money, put that 10% aside. All the gurus all over the world talk about it all the time, and it's absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. If there's not a period in your life where you're putting at least 10% of whatever you earn into growing, then you're not going to get to where you need to be. So get advice, get help. As soon as you get stuck, ask someone. And online, wow, we didn't even have the internet in 1995. Come on, you guys are so lucky. You just Google it. So get the advice, look it up, get multiple versions because there's so much rubbish. You have too much information. But make the effort. Put the time aside and learn how to do the next thing.
Brilliant. You can get to Pranary. We just bring amazing people to guide you. The people that I would have never met 10 years ago, because we didn't have either the technology or access or any of that you're talking about. And what other things then should founders think about that would help them to grow? In terms of, you mentioned ego as well, like getting over your ego.
Yeah, one thing I haven't mentioned is you need a massive idea. I was talking to someone last week who was talking to funders, and they said, look, actually, you haven't got a big enough idea. We can only put in 50 million. Your plan's not big enough. You've only got a 5 million plan. Come back to us when you've got a bigger plan. So you need a massive idea. So that comes to that, like a promise. Make sure the promise you're making to the market is so much bigger than you. And then you pick at it and you pick pieces of it. Okay, well, is that globally relevant? Yes. Obviously, I'm not going to go global on day one. Which region am I going to start? And pick that and then grow from there. But the concept needs to be way bigger than you think you can dream of, because it needs space to grow into.
Absolutely. We get that a lot, and within the session we had today and yesterday at Pranary with the Ignition and Startup Launch Program, it was that. Like, that's the feedback that we get from the investors all the time, because we're sitting with, just with us, the 15 VCs and angels, and they're not investing. They're saying, we're still looking for somebody to invest in, and a lot of times say, this is so small, and that's the feedback that you get from Ariel and from Simon. Like, this market is too small. Think bigger. And investors like bees, like billions. Like, if the total addressable market, we know you can't get that, but it just shows that okay, it's a big enough market. So you can have a market that's too small. Could you think a little bigger? And the money that they want to put in, they want it to really go and make a bigger difference. What advice would you have in terms of thinking about governance? I know a lot of entrepreneurs don't actually like governance. It's like insurance, legal, all the things like,
grudge purchase.
Do you have to do that? Grudge purchases. Tell us about how to think about governance.
So a friend of mine runs an incubator, and he's also a biotech investor. And he said his biggest problems that the companies he sees aren't investable. So I said, well, what does that mean? He says because they have no process around the way they make decisions. So I can't see how you've made decisions up to this point, which means I've got very little confidence in how you're going to make decisions going forward. So have a meeting, even if it is only twice a year, and write down the big decisions you've made and sign it. Because a bank's going to look for that, an investor's going to look for that, and actually it's just a good thing to do because it forces you to think, was that actually a good decision? Did we really think this through? What were the options that we considered at that point in time? We only had one option. Was that so clever? Should we have gone for 3? Yes, okay, we had 3. But that one we just sucked out of our thumb. That one was because my wife said it sounded like a good idea. This one was because my brother happened to have been in the business, had done something similar that was nothing like our business, etc. That stuff happens. And we make a decision around the braai, and then we actually forgot what the details were and what the action points were and all the rest of it. So if you can show at least some maturity in terms of the way you're running the business and you're making decisions in the business, you become instantly more investable because I've got some concept of how this thing works. You're transparent in the way you're running this thing. Same for salaries. Yeah, in small businesses, we put this money aside and there, sort of, but at least have an item somewhere on there that says you're paying yourself a salary. So I know that if I can find someone better than doing the job than you, at least I know what I've got to replace and what I've got, funds I've got in the business, and the number in the business that I can replace. So governance is just doing the bare minimum of a system that works, that adds value, that makes a difference, that's not corporate. It's actually just common sense. And that's where we get stuck. We think it's not going to help. It absolutely adds value.